couple minutes after 5, and the meeting is supposed to be from 5 till 7. My name is Maura Macaluso, and I'm your principal planner with the City of Ojai, and we have my supervisor, who's the Director of Community Development, Lucas Seibert, is also here, and Sarah Camelli is an assistant planner, and she'll be back, and she's really helped us put this together. We also have a couple council members here that are just here as part of the audience tonight. And we also have the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Jamie Fleming, sitting up here at the table. As I tried to indicate when people were first coming in, this is really meant to be kind of a round table, a community meeting. And so you're welcome to sit up here at the green tables, or any place that you're comfortable. We do have to speak right into the mics. So if you're at the table, you're going to push the, wow. You hear it kind of going in and out? Is that me doing this? Okay, got to speak into the mic. Push the button, and then when you're finished speaking, please push again to turn it off because it'll pick up other noise. Yes, I can turn this way a little bip. The mic at the podium is on, and so if you're not sitting at the green table, you'll go to the podium to talk, and we'll all take, respectfully take turns. I'm not even turning my head, and it's going in and out, so. Oh. Okay. How's that?
30 seconds for me. Community Development Director here for the City of Ojai, Lucas Seibert. If you are going to speak, I'd ask for you to say your first and last name, just for the record. This is being recorded. It's being also live streamed, but there isn't going to be a virtual input portion. Instead, we're asking anybody that's watching online just to submit something in writing. And then I think Mara will talk about this, but there'll be a landing page where all this information that's been gathered at this point, previously, and then moving forward, be kind of like a one-stop shop in terms of all the information up to this point and moving forward. So,
Barbara, you just joined us, and I'll probably repeat this a couple times because I'm sure people will just be coming in. We do have sign-in sheets at the back of the room, so you can sign in now or sign in when you're leaving. And we invite people to sit up as close as you want, including here at the green table, and just participate with us. So we've received some letters via email, and those are going to be on the landing page that Lucas is talking about, and that'll be after the meeting when this recording goes up. And so, okay, well, I'm going to start with the PowerPoint presentation. Welcome. Come and sit as close as you want, including up here at the green tables. Okay.
Mara won't bite, just so everybody knows. I mean, you're more than welcome to come up here, sit at one of these comfortable seats. They all have wonderful little foam, so those are less comfortable, but these are much more comfortable up here. So we invite you all to come up here.
I know I'm all by myself, but that's okay. Sarah's going to come and sit next to me, and I did get some people at the table. So, and again, if I'll say this later, I won't repeat it anymore until the end, but if you haven't signed in yet, you can sign in on your way out. We'd really appreciate it if you'd sign up, put your name and your email address so we can keep in touch. And as Lucas said, there will be a landing page on our website that'll have everything from tonight will be in there, including the comments that came in from people that are not able to be with us tonight. So now I am going to turn to the PowerPoint. This is a community discussion, and we're happy that you're all here to participate and just kind of come together and talk about what's going on with outdoor artisan markets. So today's objective is to inform, facilitate, and brainstorm. So we want to inform all of you about our TUP, our temporary use permit process for outdoor markets. That will come in a couple more slides. We want to facilitate this by having an open discussion with all of you. And we want to hear what your perspectives are, and from everyone from the brick and mortar, everyone has to start laughing, and then I'm going to do better. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's good. Okay, our local brick and mortar business owners and our market organizers, and we also have what did you call it? What are you again? You are a vendor, thank you, and our vendors. We want to hear perspectives from everybody. And so in doing that, we're going to brainstorm here at some point in just a little bit. So what is a temporary use permit? A temporary use permit allows for short-term activities that would be compatible with adjacent and surrounding uses when in compliance with the municipal code. So it's a discretionary permit. It's reviewed and considered by the Director of Community Development, which is Lucas. However, staff fully participates in that. And so here we are. The current process is that a market organizer would submit a temporary use permit application and all the adjoining documents or the required documents, pay a fee of $450 to submit the application, and then there's a $225 fee per hour for staff time to process this application. And then again, the findings, the director is required to make the findings which are in the municipal code, and then make a decision. And then there are potentially, most likely, conditions of the approval. It might be certain type of music is permitted, or hours of operation, how many days, what days, that kind of thing. So the purpose of the proposed temporary use permit, what does it do? Well, it makes sure that the activity, the outdoor market in this case, is consistent with the actions and the goals that are in our city's general plan. It does not interfere with the use and enjoyment of neighboring, existing, or future developments, doesn't create traffic or pedestrian hazards. It provides a desirable environment for its occupants and the visiting public, as well as the neighbors. It's good. It has good and proper aesthetic, and it's appealing and retains an appropriate level of maintenance. What it does not do, it's not to be detrimental to the public convenience, health, interest, safety, welfare, or be material injurious to the properties or improvements in the immediate vicinity. And also, it does not substantially depreciate property values in the immediate vicinity. So allowable uses through temporary use permits are Christmas trees and pumpkin sales. That's very specific. Events whose sponsorship is limited to charitable efforts or tax-exempt organizations, car washes, emergency and public health safety, and also temporary uses determined by the director to be compatible. I'm going to stop right here and talk about this a little bit. Well, first I'm going to go to the next slide. I think I'll go here. So the city was made aware of existing outdoor artisan markets that were happening in the community that did not go through the temporary use permit process. I'm just going to call it a TUP from now on. So we contact these markets sponsors were contacted, and they were required to submit an application for their events. And then they were approved at for 6 months to give us an opportunity to see how they worked within the community. During that time, that 6-month time, the city received numerous complaints about the outdoor markets, particularly regarding the impact on the brick and mortar businesses. So now we started in May 23 with this little timeline here, and now we're May 24. So a year later, the city council directed staff to organize a town hall meeting and to discuss this with the community, and here we are. So I do want to go back to the allowable uses for a moment, because I'm not sure what happens in the next couple of slides at the moment. So when the director approved several markets for the 6-month period, he did so under E, temporary uses determined by the director to be compatible with district and surrounding uses. And then we received the complaints, and so we realized that, these may not be compatible. And so that's why we are where we are. We did talk to some of the event coordinators regarding other opportunities, and since we're not talking about Christmas trees and car washes or public health, we were limited, or they would be limited to events whose sponsorship is limited to charitable efforts or to tax-exempt organizations. And the vendor, or not vendors, but the coordinators that we've worked with and that received the TUPs from the city were not, they were for-profit events, so they didn't fit under B. So I just wanted to go back there a little bit and say how that's part of how we got here. So here we have existing opportunities for local artists, because one of the themes that has come up through the discussions is that these open outdoor markets are really focusing on our local artists. So other opportunities or existing opportunities include stores that feature local artists. That's Poppy's Art and Gifts, Ova Arts, and Sundays. And also there are 13 outdoor events in the downtown area, or in downtown, and they're going to be listed here on the next slide. 6 of these here, these are the 13, 6 of them are coordinated by the Chamber of Commerce and are, they are local vendors, and I can talk about the fees and those kinds of things if that kind of question comes up later when we open this up. Okay, so these are the 13 outdoor events that currently exist. Like I said, 6 of them are put on by the Chamber of Commerce. One of them is a specifically city put on event, and that is Ojai Day. And then there are other events, and all of the events offer booths for vendors. They have different costs and methods of becoming a vendor. So I feel like this has gone kind of fast. Maybe it's because I talk fast, but also I'm just going through these slides because then we're going to open it up and really get into it. So some discussion questions, although people may have other questions, and that's fantastic. We want to open it up to all your questions. Are there, or is there currently adequate space for local artisans to showcase / sell their work in Ojai? Another question is, does the community want open air markets in Ojai? And the question specifically does not include the words artisan markets, because maybe there are markets that aren't specifically for local artisans or artisans. So there's all of these different aspects. There's local. What is local? There's artisans, or there's other things that are not made by artisans. And then, of course, any and all other questions. And then, thank you very much. So I'm going to leave it on this slide unless somebody asks me to go back to another one. And we're all here together to talk about this. It's we're all in one same group now, and so I want to open it up. And unless, of course, the director has something to add to my wonderful presentation.
By the way, that was an excellent presentation. Just a couple of things. One is, this isn't meant to be, this is a safe space. We're looking for input, comments. What I want to steer us away from is any sort of like attacking kinds of questions or comments. Instead, what I'm looking for, and I think really what Mara and I think community development is looking for as we take this forward to council in the future is really kind of answering or addressing those 2 questions based on the information that we have currently, based on some of the scenarios that have taken place. I mean, I think Mara did an excellent job of kind of just outlining the history of how these TUPs have come to, and even the markets themselves have come forward over the last, really kind of, it's over the last 18 months. The reality is that I've been aware of it for the last 5 years, but it's really kind of come to the forefront in the last probably 18 months. That's really kind of when the rubber hit the road, essentially. And it really was 1, and we're like, and then it turned into 3, and then it became more of okay, so what's really going on here? Do we need to look at addressing this? And that's kind of where we've led to the input session tonight. just recognizing that there's something that is out there, but also recognizing that the community as a whole, there is this artisan piece that we're hearing that local vendors are either wanting to be a part of, aren't a part of, or are looking for other avenues in which to be a part of. So that's really, I mean, Mara's put together an excellent presentation to kind of just like outline and kind of set the table for the discussion tonight, and input session. So we welcome any comments at this point. I think Jamie may have a couple words here as well with the chamber, but this is meant to be a safe place in terms of the input, anything that you're identifying tonight. I don't want us to get into some sort of an argument or start pointing fingers at this point. Okay. So anyway.
I actually meant to thank you very much. I actually meant to I already introduced you, but I meant to turn this over to you because I think you have a couple of words to say.
I'm Jamie Fleming. I head the Chamber of Commerce. I've lived in Ojai for over 20 years, love it dearly. But in the last 6, since I took over managing the Chamber of Commerce, I learned a lot that I did not as a resident, thinking so blissfully that our downtown was the most wonderful place and just would be there forever. Going through the Thomas fires, which is why I was brought in, and trying to really work with the city and these poor store owners and everyone to try and keep everyone from being shuttered and having boarded up stores and businesses out of business, I realized the reality, how fragile our commerce is downtown. A lot of this is because as a resident, I had no idea the high rents that our landlords are able to charge, leaving these retailers in their whole livelihood on the brink of a small margin. Then on top of that, because we love having our stores open 7 days a week, they're paying their employees. It goes down the list. So it's very fragile when all of a sudden something impacts the sales or downtown. We found that to the point where a lot of stores are going in deep into their savings and what have you. What happens? Then we hit COVID, another wake-up call for anyone in government positions or cares about Ojai as a special place with a wonderful, wonderful downtown. We came really close again for a lot of businesses just completely running out of savings, because that's what they're running on, to the point where we would have boarded up downtown. One of the reasons why I think a lot of us live here is we love the quaintness here. So I take, from the Chamber of Commerce's point of view, it very seriously anytime something comes along like the formula stores, where we all of a sudden lost 2 really strong, long-lived stores in this town that were favorites, but because of the formula store issue that had not been put in place, we lost them. Because it's that fragile, that store cannot compete once the competitor came in with a similar product. So I have been involved trying to figure out how do we address something like this, because every store that I talked to in this town, everyone said, we want to support local artisans to have a chance to have a place to sell their wares. That's the Ojai way, and it was 100%. I didn't have one store owner not step up and go, that is important. We need to figure this out. So I took a very big note to that and figure out we need to make sure that that happens. At the same time, we have to also have a reality check here if we live here. We have to protect the livelihoods and the fragile downtown commerce, or else we're just not going to have it if we're not really, really careful. And so from that, I've met with the managers of these fairs, and I love the spirit. I heard how much they would like to have, that they try and support local artisans, and so I commend them on that. What was not spoken very clearly very often is the fact that what comes along with that are vendors that also are from outside, and each time we would walk into these markets, we found vendors or wholesalers from Los Angeles or Santa Barbara, which, here's a quick reality check of Ojai, and I already explained to you the cost to just do business here and even have a store. To come in with a pop-up market, the reality is you just have to understand a wholesaler is paying maybe $200 or $100 for the right to sell on the 1 or 2 biggest days that our retailers that are clinging, that they have to hope for to make a sale, because we know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do not have those people walking around our town with potential monies to buy and support our stores. So anything that happens on a Saturday, Sunday is hitting the 1 or 2 days that might impact this fragile economy that we have that's called Ojai's downtown. So I have stepped back and I thought, okay, how can we address this a little bit? So I looked at the calendar that at least the chamber does. And as you all know, we work really hard to do things to keep downtown looking vibrant. And we already had a footprint. So as you saw on that list, I had the Tangerine Festival coming up in March to support our tangerine growers. That's something that's important in this valley, but why not at the same time support our local artisans? So we sent out and started talking to local artisans, and we ended up with about 10 at that were all just local. Followed up with the lavender, and we ended up with 24 artisans and vendors that we made sure when they applied that they only were local, and that was from Casitas Springs up through the Upper Valley, anyone in this area, which is considered the Valley. But we assured everyone there that you had to be local, and we're only supporting local economy and people so that they do have an opportunity. And if you look there, this Saturday, I've got Dog Days coming up. And again, we have had phone calls from local artisans, and we now have about 11 showing up for that in the middle of summer, which is more than I was expecting. Then the city and I were talking, and there's nothing happening in August to help support the local artisans. So we're doing a music festival in the park in August. And in October, the one thing that I've always felt was missing in a lot of the reasons why we have the pop-ups is Ojai Day is for all Ojai people, especially vendors and artisans. And so when I talk to how well does the city do in getting booths from local artisans at that, and they say, no, they're having to beg, they can't get people. So again, that's another one that I'm hoping local artisans will really take advantage of. But as you start seeing, we're really working hard to try and give those opportunities to give local artisans an opportunity, while also trying to protect having one outside vendor is more than we should have when at an event, because it then is a company that is coming into our, at least the way the chamber looks at it, it's a company coming into our downtown to take advantage of commerce and sales without having to really pay to be a real local resident business, paying the taxes and all the things that come with that and the insurances. So we're hoping that we can be a good example to Michelle and everyone that it can be done if you, it would be embraced much more, I think, by the business community if you were 100% local artisans and vendors. Then I think we eliminate what I'm so worried about is affecting and hurting our downtown economy. We all saw what happened with the formula store thing. We lost in the field and what have you. And so I'm just doing what I can. I'm hoping everyone else is, but most of the stores, and I know Lucas received it when this all started, sent a petition in just saying, hey, something has to be done. They want the local artisans to be supported of the location, but there needs to be something addressed so that they can actually stay in business in Ojai and not have the finite amount of dollars that come in spent elsewhere when that dollar could maybe be spent at one of their stores. So I will probably talk later, but I just wanted to at least give you a sense from the chamber that we're really trying to address as best we can and address those 2 questions. Oh, sure.
Sure, if you could just say your name, that would be great.
Lisa Elliott. I just wanted to address a few things. Before I was doing the markets, the first one was at Caravan Outpost, and it was a great event. We had like pretty much all of Oak Grove come and all the schools where my kids went to school for 9 years, and my daughter and son who also make things. And it was exciting because we had all these kids making things and a ton of kids. And so that was that market. Warner, who owns the lot near Blue, has been a friend of mine for 30 years. And we worked together on that market. He let me use that lot, had a permit. And I had to okay it with Blue because they're a retail store in town. And, you know, she said, well, it's been quiet here, so I'm excited to try it and see how it works. And every time we had the market at the Blue parking lot, her sales kind of doubled, if not tripled. She was so thrilled because people actually did come in the store and shop. And so that would be that store. And as far as in the field, I think that was brought up, who I know. But anyways, she closed for a whole different reason, but that's separate. It didn't have anything to do with the market. She supports.
No, it was the formula stores.
Because she supports the markets. She comes to them anyways. So specifically, in general, and I also, going back, partnered with Kenny, who owns Ojai Rancho and a few other hotels here, and I did a show with her in Los Alamos, which is probably smaller than Ojai. And they had an amazing, I mean, all the stores, I talked to them in the town, and they were like so thankful. They're like, can you come back? I think they're still continuing to do it, which is great. And they wanted it there just because it pepped up the town and the stores got more business. So mainly, I think that, like you said, with wholesalers and competing, I think if there's designers or artisans, or for me, it's antiques and vintage that are not in other stores and are not competing with, the markets, then it actually ups a city. Because I actually, to be honest with you, my son is 13 and he has his own little line. And I ask everyone who comes into the market or who had come in, and I would pretty much I couldn't talk to everyone, but I really tried to talk to as many people as possible and ask, where are you coming from? And, a lot of people said, I saw a lot of people come out from Ojai that never go out, which was great. And then I saw a lot of people from Santa Barbara, meaning the customers that come, and I would say, did you come for the market? Like, how did you find out about it? Just to ask. And, a lot of them said, we were either driving by or we saw it, that you were promoting it. So it was both. But they did say that they almost I don't even think there's anyone that didn't say this, that they were going to spend the day in Ojai, go eat, shop around. They're going to go downtown. And then I contacted you and said, if you have a map, I can give it to them because they're spending the day here. And so I think that, like, because my experience with this, which was in a little town in Los Alamos, and then in Ojai with like kids coming out that don't come out. There's not a lot for teens to do either here. So I know that some people have artists and this and that which can be exciting for especially teens, because, I have teens and they don't know what to do here. So they come out and they make beads, and Jenny, who's here, brought her beads, and people do beadwork, and they do, they just do different things that make it exciting. And then they're like, we're out, so we're going to go around downtown, or we're going to go here. I'm like, great. And I'm like telling them, go to here, where should I eat? Some people don't even know. Like, there was plenty of people, not from Ojai, but maybe Santa Barbara, that were asking me, where should I go? And I said, go here, go to this store, go down here. And they want to spend the day here. They're not going to drive in and just go there and then leave. So that's been my experience. And I just think it's been really positive, because it's been, I've looked at it and really look at, are any of these lines in any stores? No. unless it's a store. And like, since I have vintage and antiques mainly and some artisans, or upcycled really, um, the only vintage store besides Miners Oak is Sam Roberts, who's in Ojai, and my son sells to that store. It's his mentor, and he's been at the market. He was at my market, and he loves it. He promotes it. And the only other one that carries antiques in town is Treasures of Ojai, and they wrote a letter, and they are fully behind it. So they did my market as well, but they get busy and this and that. So, and then Jenny, who has a store, has done my market, and it's been positive. And then there's a lot of other local, Sonia Uton, Ride or Die, who's supposed to be here, Rooted Botanics. I mean, I can just go on and on. I have letters here from the lines, Adriana, Love Heels, who had a store here, doesn't have a store here. So I would love to collaborate with the stores, and that's what I would like to do, and mainly have a map, because people ask, and I think it's exciting for something to do in Ojai, and we can work together if it's like not on the same day, and work and collaborate together, because it's just it's a town that's calm and quiet, and I get that, but people come, and the thing that I realized, and Adriana said from Love Heels and other designers, is that the people that were coming with money to shop. Like I do have an antique dealer who, there's not a lot of antiques there, from Santa Barbara, and she said that the other markets she does, even Farmer and the Flea in Santa Barbara, that she sells more here, and she's like talking to the shoppers, and she told me the same thing. People are coming here and then they're going downtown. So I think there's a collaboration that can happen within the maps, and like having people, they ask, where should we go? And giving them a map and saying, go to this store, go to this, any of the stores on the map, and the restaurants. That's my.
Hi, I'm Marissa Berbera. I'm speaking as a vendor, a vintage seller, and a property manager of a hotel. I will say, I grew up on Aliso. I've always wanted to have a shop downtown. Life took me in a different path. I'm a single mother. I rely very much on these sales and doing these markets, and I can't afford to pay the 40, the 60, the 50% to stores to carry my stuff. The promotion that these two women do is something that individually, as a business owner, a single mom, and a manager of a property, I do not have time to do. So all the work that they're doing and getting people to come to this town, most definitely they're eating here. They're spending the day here. I know that our guests ask where they went. They want to spend time outside. Pinion and Duchess were right on each side of where the market was, and every vendor would eat there. Every single, most of the customers would. We had ice cream from Sanford and Sons. People want to be outside and be talking to other people. So it was a beautiful experience, not only for my 11-year-old son, her 11-year-old daughter. They were helping us work. We were teaching them work ethic. They would help us set up, help us sell. I don't foresee a time where I will ever be able to afford that store here in Ojai. And it does feel very discouraging as someone who's fought to live here. It's not easy. And now it's like, a roadblock got in the way of people would come, ask me if I'm going to be there. There's regular customers that would come, and I would get to see the guests from the hotel, we're excited to see, and then I would point them in directions to go shopping in other places.
Can I say something really quick? Just one other thing that I wanted to say with the hotels, they've been really, really supportive in this town. I'm close with like Ojai Valley Inn, and like the other hotels, and Kenny is an amazing friend, and just they've been supportive because they really enjoy when they told me, even Ojai Valley Inn, there's nothing to do, but we want people to go out, and it might get them out and then walking around downtown. So it's like, I think it's kind of a win-win for both. That's all I have to say.
I think I may have seen a hand from the audience. So it's just so if you'd like to speak, please come up to the podium and you'll give your name and yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Barbara Bowman. I am a shop retailer, 43 years. Nobody was around when we weren't popular. Nobody was trying to do pop-ups all those years, year in and year out, and year in and year out. We paid the rent, we paid the taxes, we paid the employee withholding, we paid all of this stuff years. And then all of a sudden, Ojai got hot. How fabulous. Ojai got hot. You couldn't miss. You do a pop-up and you're going to be successful. You know, you're going to do a lot of business. It wasn't like that before. And all those retailers were there 7 days a week, paying all that overhead. And actually, you say people need a map and know what to do in Ojai. Ojai's, 2 blocks long? I mean, I hope they don't get lost. You know, it's kind of hard to get lost here. And they're in the stores are mom and pop stores. Jessie Mahari spoke the last time we had a group meeting, and she was for the pop-ups. Jessie Mahari's been here for a number of years, long before she had her store. Her store is not what she lives on. She has a Sundance catalog, which is so successful. She doesn't need a store, but she's got a gorgeous store, and it's kind of like her figurehead, like you have a masthead. And her daughter spoke that night and was saying how wonderful it was for her friends, because they had entertainment. They're teenagers, and they loved to just walk around and look at the baubles and stuff as the stuff. It wasn't that fun. Isn't that great? It's wonderful. However, there are some people that actually have to make a living on their store. They have to show up Monday through Sunday, and they have to make a living, and they have to pay all those overhead. So when something comes into town, and I'm sure it's a great idea. I'm a businesswoman. I would have thought of something like that too. My God, the town's hot. I can really do well with this. This is easy. I have to pay a minimal here, get so much from the vendors, and you can do quite well with that. I mean, this is really a great way to make money. Bravo. Congratulations. I'm not mocking you. I'm serious. That was a brilliant idea. It's just that it wasn't a brilliant idea for us. It wasn't. And it won't be. And the thing is, Jamie gave you a very good presentation. For all the artisans who do these wonderful things that they need an outlet that's not expensive, he charges, I think, what'd you tell me, $65 for them to have a booth? $65 is what all they have to pay. And every single month they can go and sell their things. And it's not just a pop-up. It's an event. And as these events grow and get stronger, more people come. You keep getting more people coming too and showing. So it's not like there's no place for them to go. It's not like there's absolutely no outlet for them. And I do want local artisans. I absolutely want local artisans taken care of, because that young talent is what we depend on. That young talent someday, if they don't have 2 other jobs that they have to do and they really concentrate on that, they will have that store someday. We were all there once upon a time. So many merchants that are in the street started out young, their first store, and worked their way up. That's not an unusual thing. In fact, we're getting ready. There's going to be a big turnover in stores as all of us old people move on, because, it's going to be the turnover. There's going to be a whole new group of vendors, and a lot of these people are going to come from the local talent, because people locally are what we want to support. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, I do. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you in that way, but I do think there's local talent. There's always local talent in this town. And when you have these shows, if you're a young local talent and you're not taking advantage of these events to show your goods, then how serious are you? You would take advantage of every single event. It's like someone who wants to be an actress. You go on every single call, whether you're going to be hired or not. You go to every single one of these markets and show, because it's going to finally, if you're good, if your stuff is good, people are going to talk about it. It's going to get around, and you will be successful eventually. Not everybody gets to be a star. Not everybody is successful that goes into whatever end you are in these markets, maybe jewelry, clothing, art. Not everybody does reach that point. But those that stick to it and work hard will. And we do want to support our local merchants. The merchants we want to support, but we also want our artisans supported. Because I do think there's wonderful talent in this town. Really good talent that we don't have in stores yet. So, that is my piece. And I understand you doing this, Michelle. I think it was a great idea. And if there's any other way of doing it other than you just having local talent, proving it's local talent, for them having to apply with you and prove that their stuff comes locally, they're not from out of town. I don't know how else to make it so it's really benefiting the local people that don't have, shops. So that's the only way. As long as you're bringing people from the outside, I think that would have to be one of the key things. No, absolutely not. So, sorry. Bye.
So Michelle is going to be the next person. So I just wanted to say, if anybody's come in late, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and the closer you sit, the better, including sitting up here at the green and on the green. And also, something that wasn't said in the presentation, and just I'm thinking about it as Barbara was talking, and thank you, Barbara, is that markets or any kind of event that's inside a building doesn't need to go through the temporary use permit process. And Michelle knows that, and so does Lisa. But I just wanted to make sure that that I'm as thorough as I can be in giving information to the public. And of course, I'm sure there's many things that I haven't said, and hopefully we can answer questions if there are any questions. So we have 3 people that want to speak. We have Michelle first, then we have a woman here sitting in the front row, and then we have. Do you have a question right now, or did you want to speak? Oh, fantastic! There is not a speaker card, and if you want to speak, then you're going to be number 3. And what you're going to do is go up to this podium when it's your turn and just say your name, and you'll have the floor. Okay? Okay. So Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Chaplin. I have the Conscious Collective Market, the one that Jamie and Lucas both were speaking of, since 2022, August 2022. Since having the market, I support the Women's Club. I pay rent to the Women's Club. I pay event insurance, and I pay TUP. So I've been contributing as well as, so I'm paying overhead on top of, marketing and running the market in all of the ways. I've also tried to work with Jamie on inviting, local businesses to come and showcase their work for free to every market. I've only had one business say yes to that. I've tried lots of hoops. Okay. I've gone through all the hoops. I've been told that I'm denied because I have a 501c, or I don't have a 501c, but then I'm hearing Jamie tell me that he is running, and also that this is a little bit upsetting to me, only because I was told just in this conversation that when you have a market on a Saturday or Sunday, that it will take away from the local businesses. But yet there's one every week or every month in the park that's going to be taking away from local businesses as well. So this is a little bit upsetting to me, since I was told I was no longer allowed to host an outdoor market because I'm not a 501c. And so my vendors were actually at your markets. And that's very upsetting to me. I've nurtured those relationships for the past 2 years, and they came from my market. It's upsetting. I'm told that I'm not allowed to do it, but you can do it. And so as a business owner, it's a little bit hard. This is my livelihood because I run this. This is my job. As Barbara Bowman runs a store, I created a market. I curate it. I deal with vendors on a daily basis. I do marketing. I do Instagram. I do ads. I'm in the Ojai Quarterly. I'm in the Ojai Magazine. I'm supporting Ojai. I'm paying you guys. I'm paying the Women's Club. I'm trying my best. You tell me that you want local. I try my best. I get 60%. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get 40%. Sometimes I don't. I'm trying everything here. And I feel like no matter what I've done, it's never quite good enough. to like actually get it passed. And I think that the one thing that Lucas said was that it wasn't a big deal for the first year, but then really you didn't focus on this. There were 4 markets that would pop up on the same day. 2 of them did not have temporary use permits, right? 2 of them did. So when there's 4 markets on a very important weekend, a holiday weekend, that's not me. I put out my calendar 1 year in advance. So in January, I announce all my dates. Everyone knows my dates. It's been going on for 2 years, and that's just the way that I've done it. If we have 4 markets, of course, nobody's doing well. We're not doing well. You're not doing well. Nobody's doing well because it's taking away, right? For some reason, legally in your guys, in the city code, there's allowed to have 3 pop-up markets a day. That's too many, in my opinion. This conversation should be going on. Maybe 1 a week or 1 twice a month. Something has to give because there is enough space for everybody, and it's just a matter of us working together on how to do that so that we're not in direct competition and we're working together to make it great. And then another thing is that when you're only going local, a lot of the local artists sell to OVAC, to Pixies, to Rains. So like where I'll have the Heart of Ojai come and do a market, well, she's also in Rains, she's in Sundays, she's in, so it's not that great to only do local because then you're actually just giving them everything that's already in the stores. Why not bring new stuff in so that they're offered something that is different? That's a very big, I know, hot topic. That will be a hard one. But I think that it is when you're these artists actually do vend in these other smaller places. Not all of them. Like one of my vendors, Foxen, he does wallets and mostly like wallets and keychains and things like this, all handmade in Oakview. I think that's Ojai still. And Square Color Jewelry, she does. I mean, there's a lot of vendors that we have. It's just a matter of, I mean, they're not here to speak, and it's hard to get people to come out and actually speak on behalf of the vendors. And that's also kind of a challenge here. I don't know.
Thank you, Michelle.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erica. I'm a local vendor. I'm a botanical artist. I'm actually going to echo a lot of what you said. I do believe that weekends can be oversaturated with multiple markets. And the way to be able to really highlight local artists is to just have one market. If there's 8 weekend days, at least per month, then I think there should be some bigger conversation. Like you take the first Saturday, you take the second Sunday, you take the third, and it's just, that's what it is. Because then everybody can shine, because the argument that we're taking away from local businesses, what about the new businesses that come into Ojai, right? So there's always this, a new little shop, a new restaurant. I think that for me personally, when I post on my social media, I have a lot of people from out of town come. Sometimes just because they want to come say hi, I'm like, you got to pull me by the hair to get me out of Ojai. So sometimes me being at a market is a reason for people to come, and other businesses get that business. So another thing is that these local markets support women. Most of the vendors are women, small business women, including me. So to take that away is also impacting women. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak now? If you could just say your name when you get up to the podium.
I have a question. My sister sent in a letter. Could I speak separately and read her letter as well as one of the vendors?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you'll need to stand in front of the mic, and so when you're speaking for yourself, you say your name, and when you're speaking for your sister.
So I'd like to read this on behalf of my sister who emailed it in to you all, but it would be nice to have it on the record. D.K. Crawford, July 18th. Be wild, child. In defense of Ojai Outdoor Makers Markets from one maker. Dear City of Ojai, Planning Commission, store owners, citizens of Ojai, and makers, I want to address the outdoor markets in Ojai. I am D.K. Crawford, and I have a little company named Be Wild Child, and I sell solid lotions and perfumes made with ingredients from Ojai, like local beeswax and locally grown and distilled lavender and lavandin. All of my products are made from scratch in my sister's little cottage in downtown Ojai. I specialize in natural scents that are safer to use and am also working on capturing scents specific to Ojai. I love what I do and have people who haven't been able to use perfumes for years buying my products. I even made a perfume called Gratitude, specifically from the scents of Ojai that people swear smells just like this valley. I wear all the hats, and my sister Lise Martin, who has been here since January of 1995, helps me when she can. We are homespun and bootstrapped, and we love Ojai. I have relied on Ojai Makers Markets as a place to get feedback on my products and to connect to what the community needs and wants to buy. I had a solid once a month market with Ojai artisans at Chaparral High School. I was originally absolutely terrified to do markets, to put my work out there, to try to sell things that came from my heart. But artisans and the Ojai Community Farmers Market, my first 2 markets, made it possible for me to try and were there to support me when I was nervous and unsure. Markets are a living, breathing entity that ties in well to brick and mortar stores. I use them to get input about my products, to see how people interact with them. I would never have created what I do without them, and now because of them, I have a business plan, a mentor, and am growing. But honestly, taking the markets out from under me has come close to sinking my little business. I also do small batch products that are created on the fly or that have less access to ingredients for. Some of what I can make goes onto the shelves of a store, but some of it, things that are very uniquely Ojai, are far different than what can be purchased in stores. The other outdoor venue available is the Sunday Ojai Farmers Market, which is closed to many local makers, even if we live and create things only 2 blocks away. Markets are a bit different than stores, as of course we schlep all of our gear and set up a temporary store. It is some of the hardest work I have done physically to create these booths in the hot sun or cold, but it feels so worthy and connected to do so. I have also had the ability to try wholesale and selling at stores, and I enjoy that as well, but it's not alive the same way that these markets are, and not all products, especially when someone is starting out, can be wholesaled effectively or would work in a regular store. Without the markets, my business would not have lasted as when I first tried to wholesale. I was turned down locally because managers of stores didn't get my vision like they do now. Several vital makers do not have the option of just selling their work in stores first off. When I am vending, people see something happening and stop driving, get out and interact. Sometimes they try what I have. Sometimes they just ask me where to get a great burger, go for a hike, look for a new dress or jewelry. When I tell them that I make my items 3 blocks from here in a small cottage, they gasp and are so intrigued and missing that kind of connection in what they purchase. But that also means I am qualified to speak for the town as a sort of concierge and send them to other establishments to further fall in love with Ojai. They often return on their way out and tell us what they discovered in their shopping, eating, and exploring. Those markets draw people in from the outside community and locally and are a real asset to the local community. I am hoping you can find some middle ground that helps support local makers and lets each entity do perhaps 1 market a month. In conclusion, Ojai has become a little LA on so many levels, but some of the markets were that kind of Ojai that many of us miss. I am terribly thankful to have been part of these and have grown so much as a person and now entrepreneur because of the support I received in doing these. Please do not take these away. Creators are a vital part of this community. Please don't cut off something that helps both the community and makers survive in this little town. Please find another way. Don't make me only attend markets out of town and disconnect from this community that needs what I do, and I need them. Let this be a win-win. Thank you for reading this. Passionately, D.K. Crawford of Be Wild Child, downtown Ojai.
Thank you, DK. Just have the question from the audience. Oh, you want to be next?
I have lots of questions.
Oh, okay.
But I also want to speak. But
Okay, so
ask questions. But
so she's going to do one more, speak for herself, and then I think you'll be next.
So I am speaking off the cuff. I come straight from working downtown Ojai in a boutique. I happen to have worked in boutiques in Ojai for almost the 30 years I have been here. I've had a private practice, but also worked part-time in different boutiques, and I currently work at Rainbow Bridge in vitamins. I'm filling in at Jess Meharry's flagship store, which I worked in before the Thomas Fire. Today I was working at Med Lotus, which is behind Bonnie Lou's. I love Ojai, and I have an unusual skill set as a result of my background, which goes all the way back to Chicago and going to the Art Institute of Chicago undergrad and grad, working at Marshall Fields, working in the museums, working in high-end galleries. I'm used to selling things that are 200 to 500,000 in those kinds of venues. So I'm honored to sell something that's $1 in Ojai and up. And I want you to know I am here as a peacemaker, as a bridge, offering any talents I can to this challenge that we face. It's multifaceted, the challenges we face, but I'd like to do a cancellation and an affirmation as a spiritual premise for this, and then share an idea I have. So I cancel the belief that the challenges we have between the makers and the idea of outdoor markets and the brick and mortar businesses that are indoor cannot be resolved with peace and the highest good for all to flourish and to actually have better sales by creating greater connections than ever before. And so I affirm that all these challenges have greater blessings in store for us, and that we are open to learning the lessons, conscious and unconscious, so that we might receive those blessings together and thrive. So one of my ideas is to tie in businesses that are brick and mortar with makers and create special events. The makers are bringing in so much energy and vitality to this community, and they are doing a lot of things online that some of the big brick and mortar are not yet doing. So I feel like there's a way that a synergy can be created. There could be some kind of way that for instance, in Chicago was a twin city with Barcelona in terms of architecture. There can be a cross-fertilization between, say, a product that is created for the new business, the new, I'm blanking on the name of it, Hey Bingo, the new pet store, and a vendor that makes a pet product, and that they send each other back and forth, and there might even be a way to get a discount if you go to Hey Bingo and you get something stamped and you come back and you say, hey, I'm eager to have my 10% discount from stopping by and seeing the place that carries your one wholesale product. There's all kinds of ways, and you could feature once a month a different maker in Ojai, and you could make it sort of like a treasure hunt throughout this community. It could be very exciting, and we could make events create more synergy and bring more energy, because I really believe that abundance flows. It's whether we stop abundance with our mindset. And I want you to know that I have a small disagreement with something that was said at a recent meeting about Saturdays being the only day that people really make big profits. I want you to know that in these 25 years, it's completely like fishing. It's unpredictable when you are going to have your big sale day of the week. It really is a mindset, and it's of giving thanks for each and every person you connect with, each and every sale you make, and then you say, and I'm ready and willing after giving thanks to receiving more. So I had a windfall day today. On Thursday, I had a windfall day on Tuesday when we weren't supposed to be open at Mud Lotus, and I decided to open and surprise the owner who's out of town and who needed some support because they're caregiving a parent. And it's just amazing what can flow when we have a higher attunement to being of service to one another, and we really take each challenge as an opportunity to grow. Thank you.
Would you please give us your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's Lys, Lys Martin, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And would you like to come up to the podium and give your name and ask you?
So everyone can see my back. I'm Jenny Prebor, and I know all you guys. And Marissa has popped up at my shop, which was a great success. And I've done both markets, and I have a couple shops in town, and I really need you to work at my shop because no one wants to work in my shop. And, you know, I struggle every day about getting someone to open up my shop every day. And, you know, I've had people leave at 3 o'clock because there's no business, you know, and it's just, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm paying you to stay there. And they're like, it's so slow. It was so boring. So they just leave. So I love that you opened up Mud Lotus for your friend. And, you know, I can't get anyone to work in the Miners Oak shops. Even the college kids, you know, even kids that take a book, whatever. So I struggle with this every day, yet I participate in the markets as much as I can, if I can, and the Farmer and the Flea in Santa Barbara, which I think all of these markets are great. I take different things, like when I did Michelle's market, it was all beads, all make your own. And when I did one of Lisa's market, it was all stuff from the kitchen store, you know, and Sonia Uten, who's one of my jewelry makers that sells at my shop, has a booth at Lisa's fair and sells a lot. I mean, you know, over $1,000. So I'm paying fees for the fair, I'm paying rent, I'm paying staff, I'm paying everything, you know, and yes, weeks go by where I do not sell one thing. Not one thing. And, you know, days go by where at the 4 o'clock, someone comes in and spends $1,500. And, you know, that's just the way it is. I mean, there's not a good day. There's not a bad day. Saturdays, I can have Saturday after Saturday and not sell one thing. So for me in particular, I support the markets. I also have another hat and I work for the museum. And we had a discussion today about the markets, and they get a lot of more foot traffic whenever either market goes on. And I also run the visitor service, the center at the museum, and I spend all day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, sending people all over town. And, you know, I do kind of pick and choose, like the restaurants I love, you know, they can't go everywhere. So, you know, I have a few special things. And I always mention my shop, and I say what, I don't know, someone said about the town, like, you know, it's walking distance. So you can start at Bart's Books, and you can go all the way down and all the way back. And we have 2 farmers markets. So I also believe that, I mean, I don't even know half of these. I do believe that when there is something in the park that slows my business in the arcade in a huge, huge way. You know, if it's the tennis tournament or the music festival or any local vendor, outside vendor in the park, the pottery, everything, those will be dead days for me. Things like the film festival and the playwrights festival are big for me because it's a lot of people coming in from outside of town. And they're usually looking for talent. For the people that attend those are usually talent scouts or set designers or costume designers. So those really help me. But I do also want to say that I agree that there should be a calendar of how things go. And I think the fair that your sister was doing at Chaparral was one of the Lucas, was that one of the unpermitted fairs? Because I wanted to ask you, you mentioned some unpermitted fairs, and what was that, the one that was in front of Chaparral?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that that's another issue. Like, if you're going to do it, like, go through the right channels, put your application in, get on the calendar. I don't know who manages the calendar. And I also think that the marketing that these ladies do is incredible. And when I'm at the fairs, I meet so many people who I just could say the name of my shop over and over and over and over to hundreds of people. And I sit in my shop all day, and a Saturday and there's no markets and no one comes in. So I think there's a real benefit. I understand everyone about, like, there's too many, or they're all on the same day, and all of that coordination. And I really think we can coordinate that. And so the other thing I was going to say is your idea about the punch card thing. Like, we were thinking of doing that from the museum, like from the visitor center, that you kind of have this, when everyone comes in and they're like, we don't even have a map that we give out. Like, that's another issue. We don't even have a map. So, I have a plastic map that's years old. They take a picture of it. It's embarrassing, and so that could be something also that comes from the visitor center, that there is, even if there's not a market, there's a punch card, gets you from one end of the town to the other, or something like that. Or, we approach merchants that want to participate in it. Sanders gives 10% off, and that's at the other end of the town, or whatever. So I feel like I had some more questions, but that's what I wanted to say. I think there's a way to really energize the town through these markets without stepping on the merchants' toes. I also want to speak for my shop neighbor, Rachel. Rachel's done the fair in my spot a couple times, and she's mostly vintage. She didn't do well in the fair, and she does believe that when the fairs are up, it does affect her business. But her comment is that she thinks the same as I. Like, if we have a schedule, we know when it's coming, that it can benefit. So I wanted to speak for her. Okay.
So, Lisa, if you want to turn your mic on and you have a question, Lisa
Yeah.
Elliott.
Hi, I just wanted to also say that I had a showroom. I still work with some stores in LA and New York for 20 years, working with like 300 boutiques around the world and throughout the United States. And I'm still in contact with a lot of them. And wherever they are, it's not that easy right now, to be honest. And they really have to put a lot into promoting their brands and promoting just everything. And that, like, for my business, what I'm doing, it's not just like, oh, it's so easy. I pay all the same fees, renting, this, that, the insurance, but also it's probably like, I don't want to say 24 hours of promoting, but it's a lot. It's a full-time thing to promote for people to come and be here with money. And like Adriana from Love Heals was saying, who had a store in the arcade for years, she wrote a letter that, when people were coming into our store, a lot of people were stealing because they were drunk from drinking beer at the breweries anyways. And with the market, she's like, please don't stop. This is like this is the only way I make money now. Like, this is like, she's older. I don't know if you know her, but she's amazing. And she said this is her only way that she's actually making an income from getting out there and doing the markets, because her shop, or it's not even a shop, is in her house where she makes everything. And so, I do think that there can be a collaborative process from what everyone said here of doing a calendar, working together, and bringing these shoppers in that are coming because of a lot of promotion from our ends. And isn't it a full-time job? So, from that end, and then bringing people in, like Adrian is like, I like that you bring in people that actually want to shop, like not just walking around and they're buzzed and coming in and stealing things. Not that that's happening to every store. I'm just saying what one vendor told me. And these people that are coming for sure to my market are coming with money to shop. And then they're like not saying that they're shopping at all. Then they're like, well, I didn't find anything. I'll walk downtown. I'm like, great. So I know that they're shoppers coming to shop, and I want them to shop not at my market only, but downtown. And so that's why I was mentioning the map. I know they can just walk, but they do actually ask. So that's.
Thank you. There's a couple people in the back that had their hands raised. And so come on up, sir. I was going to call you Mr. When you come to the podium, please state your name. And then also when he's finished, please don't be shy, because I might be looking over here when someone is raising their hand.
Sure. Excuse me. My name is Andrew Stassi. I have an office in town. I've had an office for about 24 years, and my wife owns a store in town. I think that what's clear is that the city, and I'm assuming, Lucas, these were distributed to the city council, received 28 letters, or 28 signed letters from 28 store owners in the arcade area, from the smallest to the largest. And their concern is really, really clear. It's unfair competition. The stores have to have a certain level of overhead. The stores are open 24/7, and they cannot afford the type of competition that the markets bring. And it really doesn't matter that the markets aren't selling necessarily exactly the same thing that the stores are selling. There's a saturation point, and Ojai has reached its saturation point. There is only so many expendable dollars to go around. There are only so many parking places in town. There are only so many expendable dollars. And what the stores are telling you, almost universally, not all, is that this is affecting their business. The city's first responsibility is to the downtown Ojai corridor. If you read the general plan, and the intent of the general plan, it's to protect the historic nature and to protect the downtown businesses and the brick and mortar stores. And the brick and mortar stores have a problem with what's going on. It's not that the brick and mortar stores have a problem with people wanting to make money, and they certainly don't have a problem with local artisans. The problem is that you are marketers, which is understandable. And as Barbara mentioned, we applaud you for going out there and marketing and making money. But you are operators. Based on the Business and Professions Code, Section 21660, you are operators. You are running basically flea markets. And you are charging a fee. This is how you're making your money, which is okay. Except for the problem with that is that you become the middleman for the artisans. If the artisans are represented by all of these great opportunities that the City of Commerce and that the city are putting on, they're not paying a middleman. You are in this to make money, which is understandable. But the artisans don't need a middleman. They have the opportunity in the city to show their wares and make money. Basically, what's happening is the city is trying to put 5 pounds of potatoes in a 4-pound sack. It's not working. And the local businesses are telling you this. So there are ways for local artisans to be nourished and to grow and to show their goods. This is just the wrong vehicle. And it's creating a lot of problems in the city, and it's creating a lot of problems for your brick and mortar stores. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there was somebody else with their hand raised in the back, and then we have more questions by Jenny Prebor. Was there someone else in the back? No. Okay, Jenny. And then I think we have this other woman will come back up. Jenny, I'm sorry, you have to come up to the podium. So, okay, otherwise it won't be recorded. That's
One
right.
is for Jamie, just in response to what was just said. Are those markets in the park that you produce free for vendors?
They are not.
They are not. So they still pay a fee.
We budget it so that the ad in the newspaper, and if there's a sound person, we total that budget divided by, and It's
Right.
not a profit thing. We just have to pay for the
Right.
ads.
So I just wanted to point out, and Mara, maybe you can put back up that list of the things that Jamie's working on. But, the way that I think of the money that I pay to be in Michelle's fair or Lisa's fair or Megan's fair, the Farmer and the Flea, which is in Santa Barbara, is for them to market the fair so people show up and see my booth. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. And, when you have your fairs or, whoever's doing them in the park, that fee also goes for you guys to market it so people show up. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. And, I support that. I also wanted to mention, not a week goes by that at least 6 people ask me if they can have my shop space. Where can I get a shop space? Why aren't there more shop spaces? We've been through this like 4 years. So, that's why I got the spaces in Mo. There's no traffic over there. None. You have to say, come to my shop because whatever. I think there's 1 space in Mo open right now. There's nothing for new people. Every week, at least 6 people contact me about open shop spaces. Let me know if you see anything. So I wanted to make a really big point about that, that space, and Lucas knows that space that I love that was going to be shop space, the university, the World University, remember, next to the bike shop? And I thought, oh, this will be great because there'll be like a little plaza and people can hang out there. And it was like, how many more spaces? 10 at least, or 12, and I thought that'll be kind of like find the right balance. Like there'll be a lot of shops going on. You'll have a lot of colleagues. But I did just want to mention that to you guys and have everyone know that everyone wants shop spaces. And people are starting to even go, upstairs above the toy store, which I think is cool. I think is really cool, if they're upstairs. And, in other odd places like my space in Miners Oaks. So there's a lot of demand for shops because I don't think that the fairs, I think a lot of people in the fairs would take a shop if there was a space. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's affordable too, but I think. Yes,
I'm sorry, if you could come back to the podium. You can't be recorded if we can't.
I think some property owners are charging 4 times as much as my property owners are charging. And I think I'm not sure business development or anything can do something about that, but I do know that that's happening. And those are the property owners, and those are the rents that they're choosing. So, thank you.
Who's next? I think
Someone ahead of me?
the woman with the hat. I'm sorry.
Lise. It's Lise.
Lise.
Martin.
Okay, Barbara Bowman.
Barbara Bowman. That was an interesting, as far as the shops go, and there's no shops. And as far as the fact that you do such a great job marketing, that why you get so many people here and you're able to bring so many people from all over. It seems to me, I'm going to throw this out. This is going to be, you said there's no traffic in Miners Oaks.
No, there's no street traffic in Miners Oaks.
Okay.
I am the only retail shop.
Okay, here's my point. Miners Oaks could probably use a big shot in the arm. If you're great at this marketing and you can draw people and bring people, and there probably are areas in Miners Oaks, that would be a great place to do these market. It really would. It would help Miners Oaks tremendously. I think it's a brilliant idea. It would not clog traffic downtown. And since marketing is your thing, much better than the rest of us. No, because you guys said that you do a lot of it isn't? Because I've been hearing all day that you do this great marketing, you bring people. that marketing is it, and that you're able to bring people to these markets. So if that's true, wouldn't it be wonderful for Miners? Because we already bring the traffic to downtown. I'm just going to say, we already, through our years and years of being there, have made the downtown a real hot place to happen. Wouldn't it be great if you did that for Miners Oaks?
So if we can have one person speak at a time, I'm sorry. After Barbara, we're going to have Lise.
Okay. It
Thank
may
you.
not work immediately, but it will eventually work, just like none of us worked immediately. Let me tell you, when I opened my shops, 1976 Barbara's Nonsense, very quiet. 1981, the Barbara Bowman shops. If you think I just opened them and it happened, it didn't. It took staying power. You stay there, you stay there. Well, all those people on Ojai Avenue stayed there and worked it and stayed there and worked it. The same thing would happen to Miners Oaks if you put the energy in it and the marketing in it, because is it your marketing that helps your vendors, or is it the fact that it's Ojai Avenue that helps your vendors?
So I want to say something before Lise comes up. And so I think actually Lucas said this at the very beginning. It's a safe space, and everyone can express themselves, and they come up with ideas and put out their thoughts and their feelings. And we're going to just go one by one. If we have crosstalk or go back and forth, it may not be productive. And so with that, we're going to go to Lise next. And then if someone raises their hand, okay, after Lise, I think Michelle raised her hand first, and then we'll go back to Mr. Stassi. Okay, Lise, if you'd come back up to the podium, please.
So I wanted to ask if the two people who raised their hands to have a short rebuttal to what Barbara brought up could speak first. I'd be more comfortable because it'll keep the train of thought, and then I'd like to speak.
Thank you, Lise. So we can then skip to Michelle. Michelle, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm actually an artist. So the way that I have created my artisan market is that I've been a fashion designer for 23 years. I've been doing pop-ups for the past 18 years. I started doing pop-ups right after COVID because I wanted to get my art back out into the public and in front of people, and in a safe way. And that's why we did it outside. And it created a really nice community environment, and we were all helping each other, and my market's all about helping each other. Through that, my clothing line I closed, and then I started making cookies, and I've made coconut cracks, and I've done all of these other things that I sell at the market as well. So I'm not just a marketer, I'm actually an artisan who created an artisan market to showcase my friends and other talented artists' work. And what has ended up happening was when my markets grew really big, it was very hard for me to both vend and run a market. But my goal is always to be able to hire somebody to help me for the day of, so that I can also show, which I did last market and which I do many markets. So I don't want to say that I'm a marketer. It costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars every market to actually get people in to even Ojai Avenue. I just want to say that it's not such a busy, bustling place. It is still a destination for people. So
I think Lisa wanted to open it to allow Lisa also to speak, and then we want to make sure we get back to Mr. Stassi. And then also, it's already. I'm sorry.
I want to speak.
Okay, and then we have Jamie Fleming. So it's 6:25, and the meeting is this town hall meeting is from 5 to 7. So I want to just remind everybody about that, and so the time is limited, and the goal is getting together and sharing and talk about also how are we going to move forward, and those ideas have been coming up, and just want to encourage everyone to keep that in mind, and we'll keep going. So Lisa.
Yeah, so two things. One is, I'm not like a marketer operator. I have my own clothing line as well that I put together, and a lot of work to do that. And I also show it in my market, and it really helps me with just business and income, because unfortunately a lot of the retailers that I was selling to, you just can't buy right now with budgets, and it's been really hard in retail. And this is talking about not just Ojai, this is talking about LA, Portland. I mean, I've all my friends that have stores contacting me to consult to help them for their stores. So, so I have my own line as well, a clothing line. And so, as well as my son has his own line, as I said earlier, and it's been a total, like, and also I think demographic wise, I think that all of us offer, which is the beauty of this, all of us offer something different. I think that you offer something for a demographic that comes to the park, and that's great. My demographic, I honestly think, is very different, and I do upcycled, vintage, and antiques. My demographic's different, who I'm marketing to. Michelle has her own demographic as far as who's coming and actually shopping those lines. So I think that everyone has something to offer here, and I think that Barbara has her demographic that comes to the store and shops those lines. I don't think it's all the same demographic, even though they're coming to Ojai. And I appreciate the Miners Oak. Unfortunately, that didn't work because I've done it 3 times at Greater Goods, and it was dead and very hard for the vendors. And unfortunately, they got pushed out from their space anyway, and it's going to be an art store now. And I looked over all of Miners Oaks, and there's nowhere to go there. There's the church, and they will not allow it. They do not want anything there with the parking lot. I've gone to every single place in Miners Oaks. There's not one space there that you can do. I've already definitely went through every single place. So that's that.
Thank you. Lise, did you want to come back up now? And then we're going to go to Mr. Stassi. And I just want to remind people, conscious of their time, because we're at 6:30. If you're not ready, that's fantastic. Mr. Stassi can come up.
Excuse me. I'd like to go back to what Jamie had mentioned regarding the fragility of these stores in the downtown corridor. It's really important to remember that the intent of the Ojai's plan and by ordinance, these are all mom and pop stores. These are stores that by design can't have very limited footprint in the marketplace. So these stores aren't only the competition isn't only open air markets, it's e-commerce and it's big box stores. What these stores have experienced in the last 10 years particularly is people coming in, for instance, using AI and taking pictures of of their product, and instantaneously comes up of where they can buy this less expensively. This is the kind of competition that a lot of retailers trying to maintain a footprint, a mom and pop footprint in the downtown Ojai corridor are facing. So when the pop-up markets come up, it's just another form of unfair competition. You can't compete with somebody who has lower overhead. You can't compete even with your own wholesalers. Some of them at times that end up at the pop-up markets. So the purpose of maintaining a corridor downtown that's interesting and different, and which, by the way, is the magnet that why you're here in Ojai, is the purpose of this is to maintain the unique nature of these small downtown area stores. And that what they're primarily telling you is that they are being hurt by unfair competition, and that if you want to maintain this unique corridor of these types of businesses in downtown Ojai, you need to support the intent of the Ojai plan, the code. This is what was created by design. I think that the other idea would be, if you want markets, open them up at night. Open up a market at a time when most of these stores are closed, where there's parking and where the traffic might be less. But the burden on the traffic, the parking, and on the local stores is untenable the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jamie Fleming. And then I had
Well, why don't you have Lise do her?
Lise, are you ready? And then we'll have Jamie Fleming. And then I know she didn't raise her hand, but I did get a nudge. Would you like to be third in line? And then if someone raises their hand, okay, and then you're number 4, okay?
So I want to acknowledge that we're an amazing community and that we can create consensus. And I want to acknowledge Barbara who gave me my first retail job here in Ojai, working at True West, a men's and women's clothing store, and I've worked with her and for her off and on before I went into other endeavors. She's a fabulous businesswoman. I want to say that people who have these brick and mortar stores often do not have an online presence that reflects the amazing things that they have to offer. And I would love to see something happen that's like a synergy between a young maker who's hungry and some kind of experienced brick and mortar amazing business person, where they're paired, where they would agree, and maybe the young person helps, or not young, experienced young, might help them with online presence, and the brick and mortar person might help them by having an item in their store, and then there would be a fusion of energy. And I feel like there's so much missed opportunity here. I think the fragility is throughout the country. It's not just Ojai. Yes, we have codes. I've lived downtown since 2001. Many of those codes are more and more oppressive, frankly. And I want you to know that just as Zella spoke and Jess Meharry, these markets are ways for a new infusion of energy to come in. And so Zella was saying, who's 21 years old, that these markets are where she wants to go with her friends. And I think we don't want to miss that. We want to infuse that and get them excited about all the other brick and mortars in Ojai too, so that it becomes much more fluid here. It feels like that's a missed opportunity. And as far as economics go, it was in 2008 that I experienced working at Chameleon and Footnote, and the market crashed, and we almost lost those stores next to Bonnie Lou's. Those were owned by Jenny Taft. It's a difficult time financially, but it's a time for more savvy. And if anything, it's a time to pull together, to be more connected than ever, to have each other's backs. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's Jamie Fleming.
Oh, sure. I feel the pressure to still represent the 26 stores that sent letters in and have also been speaking. Seems like there's still a very, very common theme, and that is, and Lucas, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe just about every letter stated that they were completely in favor of markets that supported our local artisans. Would I be pretty correct on that?
That was the common theme, yes.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure the chamber feels the same way, the stores do. We want to support the local artisans. Again, what I think is missing here is we just kind of skim over the fact that what impacts the stores and their letters and their feelings is wholesalers and merchant vendors that pay just a fee to actually be able to do commerce in the city when the stores are paying this just to survive, that they feel impacts their ability. If we can, and Michelle, Lisa, I think you guys do a great job in the type of markets you do. The chamber does not want to have ownership of markets that are for local vendors. If I knew that we could have markets that were just for local vendors and that could be assured, I bet you all of the businesses would walk out of here and say, that's what we want to, and this whole thing goes by. But what's always hidden is the fact that 1, 2, 50%, 60% are outsiders that they can't really compete against or don't feel it's a fair playing field. And I think we all want this to be fair for our local business owners who care about Ojai just as much as we all do and make their living from it. So I just want to remind everyone, I think I keep hearing the same theme. Everyone wants to support a way to have the local artisans have a place to sell. It does not have to be any of the events. We've always had the Lavender Fest, and so that's always had that, and the music festival and all those, but there are some that we do not need to be doing that. We're just trying to make sure that we're listening to the fact that everyone wants something that protects local artisans, but also protects our downtown. And those are examples of one way it can be done. So if we can address the outside vendors and wholesalers participating, I think this whole thing goes away and everyone can work together and make this work.
Thank you, Jamie.
You can go first, I feel like.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say your name again?
Marissa Berbera. And I just want to speak to all of that because you keep saying outside vendors. I live here, and it's not easy to live here. It's very expensive, but this is where I come from. This is where my family is, and that's where I want to be. Jenny's incredible example of a shop owner. I used to call her my fairy godmother. She gave me my start. She saw something in me at a swap meet in Ventura. And I'm here, and my business got to the place where it is because she gave me that chance. There's not a lot of other people, and you keep saying 100% Ojai vendors, artisans. It's not 100% Ojai brands in these stores. They come from somewhere else.
I'm just addressing the markets.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you. I feel very passionate about it. So, also, I pay the fee to do the market. I so badly want to share my creations that I set up an entire store, furniture, racks, chairs, displays, and I break it down in the same day. And I pay that fee knowing I could possibly not sell a single thing that day. Mm-hmm. But my market is not coming to the park to shop. A lot of the vintage stores aren't open all the time, So I just feel like those things need to be taken into consideration. There are Ojai vendors here, and there are brands in stores that were not created in Ojai. So, and we do pay a fee as well, and it might not be as much, but it's a lot of money to gamble for an entire day standing outside just to share your art.
Again, we're all in favor of having markets that sell and that support local artisans.
So thank you. Did you have a question, Sarah?
I did. Jamie answered it kind of, but I'll still ask it and pose it to maybe the business owners. From what I've gathered, it seems like the artisans and the market organizers, a lot of the ideas have been, in order to move forward, should we maybe reduce the markets, the amount, or should we have a calendar? Should we coordinate a little bit better? My question then would be to Chamber of Commerce and also the business owners, is that something that you guys would be open to as well in order to maybe move forward?
We sure would be. I think it's crazy that you can have 3 markets on one day. I'm not even sure how that got into the code because that's a lot of markets. So I think there's no argument there as to it needs to be a little more controlled, right?
I just wanted to say that those are the ones that are actually like the temporary use permit. That is what is authorized. But the markets that we're running were, if I had a date and I had announced the date and I'd done all this marketing, there also was a market that would pop up across the street from me that didn't have a temporary use permit, that it was kind of like, I understand that we're all trying to make it and that's totally cool. I just felt like, wow, like you're piggybacking on my marketing and you didn't get a temporary use permit. And if I one day, okay, so I'm allowed to have markets inside now because you don't need a temporary use permit. It's very hard to get people inside of a very, very small venue. And it's also only 10 vendors that are allowed to be in. It's like 10 or 12. It's very small. I left with $100. This was many, many, many weeks of work, like almost 3 weeks of work to try to get people in there. That doesn't work for me. That business model is not going to work for me. I couldn't vend, it was hard to vend because I was trying to manage a very small space. Anyway, the competition across the street, happening at the same time, that was one thing, and they didn't have the temporary use permit. But when I went outside, I got ticketed. I got, I had to pay a fee to the city. And so for me, and I had a temporary use permit application in. It's just, it wasn't authorized yet. It was after my 6 months was up. And that was, that's just disappointing. I know that we had a talk about it, but I have tried the inside thing and trying to get them to come inside when people are just walking and flowing and people just want to come And also, my vendors don't want to be inside. That was really what it was. My vendors don't want to be inside. They're actually not signing up because it's inside. They will not sign up. They found other markets. I have lost 4 months of work. I'm basically unemployed now. Talking about taking away a mother's livelihood. I'm a single parent giving a private school education. I work my ass off. I'm a realtor here in Ojai. I live on Foothill. I've been here for years. And I've been really, really working hard to try to do all the loopholes. I feel like we can definitely come up with a solution once a month, everybody, once every other week, whatever it is. I feel like we can work together, but I do think that everybody needs to have the temporary use permit. We all have to have it authorized by the city because otherwise it's really not fair playing field. It ends up being so cruddy to have done all your marketing and then have somebody else just piggyback on top of it. And it sucks. And then for our holiday markets, it was like everybody was on the same day. And that really, I would have been so upset if I was one of the businesses, the local businesses. I would have been devastated. I can see why they were so upset. I would be so upset. I mean, I was upset for my vendors. I was upset too, but I'd be really upset if I was a business owner. And I don't think that what you're saying about the businesses is totally true. I don't know if they would be, that they needed to be 100% Ojai. I don't think that they like them anyway. I don't really know if the businesses that I've spoken up, the ones that are against it, I'm not sure if they're okay with any markets. It just doesn't sound like they want any competition because it's already hard enough for them.
So Barbara Bowman, and then Jenny Prebor, and then Lisa, and then Andrew Stassi, and then we're probably, I have to regretfully ask that all four of you keep your comments pretty brief.
It'll be
and not,
quick.
Okay, and not repeat things that have already been said. We have about 17 minutes left, and something that Sarah Camelli brought up is like, okay, you know, we're going to move forward. Of course, we're going to be taking all of our comments,
Okay.
or all of your comments to the city council.
Okay, let's
thank
make
you,
this
Barbara.
quick. I want to answer a couple of things here so we didn't have a dialogue going back and forth. Number one, you said the stores have merchandise that is not made in Ojai. That's correct. But the whole reason why you're defending the outdoor markets or the marketplaces is for the artisans, the local artisans, and the fact they have no place to show. It isn't about anything other than the reason you wanted to have the markets is because young artisans don't have anything to show, which has nothing to do with brick and mortar stores having things from other places. They're two different subjects. And the other thing you said, the minute you went inside, you had nobody came inside, that you couldn't get anybody inside. Well, that's kind of our situation every day. I mean, if we all could put our goods out on tables out in front of our stores, we'd probably get a lot more traffic too. But Ojai would be a mess if every one of us stores got out there and hustled out on the street. We all have to operate from inside. That's nothing new for us. That's all I've ever been able to do. Okay? So I just want to answer those two questions. Okay?
I think Jenny Prebor was next.
I wasn't going to get up again, but I just mentioned to the ladies, and I just, want to say it very clearly that, we all live here. So I felt like there was this impression that these guys were like coming from out of town and hitting up Ojai, we all live here. So I just wanted to make that point. And I also think too, what Jamie was saying is, yeah, I'm curious of what really people are saying. Do you want to market only if it's local people? I mean, I could say those Ojai studio visits really mess up my business because everyone's like touring around town and no one's in town. And those are every Saturday. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I think that it's like, that's a big venue for local artists. But I think what you're asking is like, I'm trying to clarify like what the real issue is. Is it having any markets at all? Is it having every market will never fill with all local people ever? And, that's one issue. So if that's the do or die, then I think that you should be very clear about that. And, there was one other thing. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is I'm on the arcade. It's really, really unpleasant on the arcade. No one wants to come to the arcade because there are people smoking on every bench. They're sleeping on every bench. you know, and I just wanted to address that. There's a lot of reasons why people don't walk down the arcade other than the fairs. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I've been inside at Michelle's fair, and it's horrible.
So I think, I'm sorry, was it Lisa or Andrew was next? And
I actually am
Just
very
wanna-
sorry. I have a meeting at 7, so I want to stay, but I unfortunately have to go so I can get caught up. But I did want to say again, just in facts, that when I did have my market, the store that it was in the parking lot with that Warner runs, their business increased. So that's one thing. So it's like it brought people in that are shoppers. So that shop. So, and again, just to mention again, those shoppers that shop there, who also actually shop with Allie Golden, who's another store in town, because she had a little pop up there. But anyways, it brings energy, it brings community together, it brings every age out, which is amazing to bring. And it brings, like someone said earlier, a lot of women-owned businesses that don't have a business. And, you know, and mainly it brings community, people together. And that's like in the spirit of Ojai, that to me, that's like super important, as well as it brings people out from Ojai that are in, but people that are coming out that are going through downtown and shopping through downtown. And I know that because I asked them directly at my son's booth. I said, where are you coming from? Are you spending the day here? I asked like factual questions. And I want to know also with stores if business is lower, because obviously we want the best for everyone. I mean, like Liz said, it's like we want everyone to win. It's not like we want our market. We care about the designers. I'm a designer. I have a line, and wholesale's not very easy right now. So the bottom line is it creates an energy and a community for people. And there are some vendors like Circus Santa Barbara. And in every town that I've been to, because I've done markets in different places, Los Alamos, it's dead. It's very more dead than Ojai. When that market happened, people were out. All the stores wanted us to come back. They're like, please come back. It brought people here. And so, whether it's there or whether it's Larchmont Boulevard or the platform where there's going to be another market from a friend who's doing a market there, those stores are dead. And that's in LA, in Culver City. And they are dead. And these are brand name stores. They're doing a market there now. And what's the name of it? Anyway, the Current Affair. So they're starting a market there. I've done a market there before, and it brought people in. So those brand name stores are happy that vintage lines are coming in to do a market. So is Larchmont. So is Los Alamos. So is Santa Barbara, Farmer and the Flea. It brings like an energy out, and kids, teenagers, like literally all ages. Kids my 10 years old, to 13 to 16 to 20-year-old. Sonia Uton's daughter's there. All her friends come, and she brings all these schools. Okay, so it's a community basis. That's all.
Thank you, Lisa. So we have 10 more minutes, and if Andrew, you'd like to say something?
Keep it short. So I think it's axiomatic that you're going to do better if you're contiguous to 50 booths or however many booths are in a parking lot. It's going to be a magnet for your contiguous store. And I think it's also pretty clear that when you have brand name stores, this is part of the issue. Markets do well and do bring in energy and excitement to an area that has brand name stores. Ojai does not have brand name stores, and that's the whole point. Ojai has unique mom and pop stores that by design are, I believe it's 4 or less locations. So this is the whole point. That energy is competing with the energy that's been fostered in downtown Ojai, and your merchants, your local mom and pop merchants are letting you know that it's a problem. I think that the city needs to take a big step backwards, need to do a deep dive into what a local artist is, need to do a deep dive into the impacts that these markets bring, whether or not the parking and traffic and trash and services, everything from bathrooms to security and safety, can handle this type of impact of additional people. And I think that the city needs to really look at the intent of their general plan and what the intent of these various epicenters of activity were what they were designed for. And at that point, maybe we can all come up with a plan that makes sense.
Thank you. So we weren't going to, I think this was stated at the beginning that this was a place for communication, for sharing, and for gathering information that we're going to be taking back to the city council. So no determinations or decisions are being made this evening. We've heard a lot of great things. We've heard about creating a calendar, perhaps. We've heard about different venues for strictly artisans. We've also heard, though, that that's not realistic. We've heard that there's only so much commerce, and so, if people are spending money at the markets, then they're not, spending in the stores. But then we're also hearing that people come to the markets and then they also go to the stores. These are all things we've heard. Everything has been recorded, and staff is going to put together all of the comments, and we're going to be presenting all of this to the city council. And Sarah, thank you for coming up with some questions. Thank you, Lisa. So I want to make sure that whether it's Lucas or Sarah or someone from the community, if somebody would like to say something else, we only have a few more minutes. Okay, Lise?
I just wanted to say that I think Andrew Stassi's comment about doing some innovative things in the evening, especially around the open markets, is a wonderful idea. In Spain and Portugal and all the places in the Mediterranean, which we are that climate, it is oppressively hot in the middle of the day. So to do something in the evening just totally rocks. My sister has talked about this for the 25 years she's lived here, that really people could be taking a siesta hour, having a wonderful lunch, nap, and then rocking it in the evening. So if we created even just a monthly something, a time when the brick and mortars wanted to be open as well as open markets, and try and figure out a synergy that we can grow from, that might be incredible. Thank you.
And one thing that didn't come up is because we have the 13 different markets that are in Libby Park, and Libby Park is a venue that is not organized through a temporary use permit through community development, but it is a venue. They're not taking any more at the moment large events like the big huge festivals like the ones that are here. I'm not sure if all of them are as big as the other, but they are available for events. But I do believe that they have to be, yes, all new events have to be 100% not-for-profit. Yeah, there might be others other than 501c, but yeah, not-for-profit very specifically. So did anybody else have anything to say? Lucas, did you want to wrap up or anything? You don't have to.
This was the space for everybody that spoke today. That's really what this was about. So I appreciate everybody that came out. Anybody that's listening, if you want to submit a comment, you absolutely can. We didn't give an email address that we could do that through, but you could use my email address. I'll give you my email address as a form in which to submit additional information, which is Lucas, Lucas .Seibert, SEIBERT @ojai.ca.gov.
And also, Jenny Prebor just is taking my business cards and putting them at the front there. If you didn't sign in on your way in, please sign in on your way out. Leave your email address, and so we can continue to contact you when there's anything to contact you about regarding outdoor markets.
And lastly, I'll just reaffirm that there is going to be a landing page created where all this information is going to live, and then an opportunity for additional comments as well. So I appreciate everybody that came out tonight. Mara, thank you for coordinating this and facilitating this as well.
Hostess.
Everybody that came out tonight, yes, having the muscle to take care of this tonight. And to everybody else that spoke, if you have more questions, obviously beyond this, we're available as well. So thank you.